Welcome to the Heart of Bastrop Talk Show. I'm TJ Finn with the Heart of Texas Chamber.
And I'm Connie Schrader, Mayor of the City of Bastrop.
What a fun show we have in store for you guys today.
I can't believe we're already on episode 3.
I know, season 5, episode 3. Can you guys believe it? 5 seasons of the show. We've talked to some amazing people. We're going to mix it up today, right, Connie?
We are, and we've got some amazing guests ahead of you. We're going to be talking with April Daniels with the Smithville Workforce Training Center.
I love April. And then also we have James and Angela Hollon with Set Apart Farms, a wonderful veteran organization.
And to stick on our veteran theme, we have Patty Pierce and Dan Pace with the
American Legion.
And they have got a really fun event coming up. I can't wait to hear about it.
Me too. Let's get to it.
So we're here with April Daniels, and people associate you with Smithville, but you have a brand new role working with the Smithville Workforce Training Center, which I have to tell you, April, is a little deceiving because you are serving a much bigger population.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Although we are physically located in Smithville, we serve the entire county of Bastrop. We're also expanding into Lee and Fayette counties. And so we're very excited about the possibilities as we just celebrated our first year anniversary in operation.
Well, and some people aren't familiar with the Workforce Center, but it's such a great option, and it can be just graduated high school students. It can be, I don't like my job anymore, I want to do something else. Talk to us about the kind of training opportunities you have.
Absolutely, thank you. So the Smithville Workforce Training Center really is a response to the need for workforce throughout our entire region. We all know the amazing growth that we're experiencing throughout our area. Smithville, just as an example, has had more than 80 new businesses open their doors in the last 5 years. And the number one request we have is where we're going to get our trained workforce. So the Workforce Training Center was kind of born out of the idea of focusing on those high needs, well-paying jobs in medical, skilled trades, and IT. So we have rolled out quite a few job training opportunities. Medical, for example, we've EMT classes, CNA classes that would then go up into phlebotomy classes. We're planning LVN and RN classes right now.
Okay, that's a whole lot of acronyms.
It's a lot. Nursing classes.
Nursing classes, and
Yes.
phlebotomy. That's the one. Yes. There's no way. I'm the one that says don't talk to me about it and don't show me the needle. But some people are fabulous at it, and I believe that's a fairly short training program.
It is. So, for example, phlebotomy. All of us kind of think of that's when you're drawing blood. That is a 6-week class. And when you're done, you are a licensed, pass the state test, and you're a licensed certified phlebotomist. There are many employers in our region that are ready to hire phlebotomists.
And that's a well-paying job.
That's a very well-paying job. Our baseline is in line with the local workforce center, which is $17 an hour is really our target and up. So we also really want to encourage people, if you come in and let's say you're already a CNA, for example, and you'd like to add medical assistant or phlebotomy, that allows you to add to your knowledge and your certification so you can kind of build up your pathway, maybe become a nurse someday. Or if you're interested in being a welder or an HVAC technician, plumber, and someone that's in information technology, the idea is for you to move into a career, not just a job.
Well, and what I like about the opportunity is that the student loan debt is insane. It is crazy how people can get $300,000 in debt, and they're not a brain surgeon when they're done. They have a bachelor's degree.
Right.
So this gives you an opportunity to get into a good paying job, and you could still be taking another certification with your hours. Is that possible?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. So you can stack certifications. You can choose to get your first certification and get a job, and then take one of the classes that we offer that works with your schedule. And by the way, plumbers make a very good living and can have a career as a plumber. Not everyone wants to go to a 4-year college or even a 2-year college. And you can make a very good living as an HVAC technician. Air conditioning repair is a very viable
Absolutely, and there are huge demand, right?
So construction trades is the other one. We all know that on one end we have everything that's happening with Tesla, and on the other end we have what's happening with Samsung, and then everything in between. Those jobs not only are in high demand, but they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. I tell you, April and I had a discussion. I was like, April, I really want to learn how to weld. Do you know what? I'm not going to change my career. I'm too old for that, but I want to learn how to weld. And she said, of course, you can come take the welding classes the same. So some people, it may not be that they're changing careers, but that there's something they can add to what they're already doing, right?
And that's a good example. So the idea is that you would upskill what you already know how to do. So oftentimes people are going to go in at an entry level, and they may work at that entry level for some time, largely because there's no certification opportunities and educational opportunities where they live.
Right.
And it's not as easy as get in a car and go from the east end of Bastrop County into Austin while you're also trying to work a full-time job. So the idea is that people can build up their knowledge and potentially then be able to make a better living in the area that they're already interested in.
So I love it because you're changing people's lives.
Yes.
But there's also some other good news. I heard a rumor that you got a grant.
We did. We were very excited to announce that in partnership with WSRCA, another acronym, which is Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area, we are a partner group with that organization. So the entire grant was a little over $12 million.
Wow.
The part that will be invested in our communities will be $4.89 million.
Holy cow.
Wow.
And that will be focused again on those three areas: skilled trades, medical, and IT. So if there is any interest for residents of the three counties that we intend to really be focusing on, which is Bastrop, Lee, and Fayette County, all you have to do is check us out at smithvilleworkforcetrainingcenter.com.
That is fantastic. And to your point, like we said, you could be 17 years old, you could be 25 years old, you could be 55 and just ready to do something different. And you don't know what those opportunities are if you don't check them out.
Absolutely.
That's right. And a good example would be people that have retired. And they're not really ready to just stay home. So they might want to work part-time in the medical field.
Absolutely.
But there's really no opportunity for them to get that training in their own community. Not to mention, the fact of the matter is that we lose many of our young people because they flee to the urban centers where the jobs are, where the training is.
Right.
Instead, let's keep them in our community.
Absolutely.
So that they can work in our community, they can volunteer in our community, they can be the people that help fill up our churches and our PTA and our schools. All of that
Absolutely.
helps us grow our economy.
Well, and like a CNA, which I happen to know is certified nursing assistant,
ma'am.
there is demand for that
Yes.
all over the place.
Oh,
And it can
yes.
be anything from home health check on a brand new baby to elderly. And maybe there's somebody that just needs a little bit of assistance but wants to be able to stay at home. So there is a huge demand. And then you can also set your own hours with that type of thing. So
And
there's
CNA, that's
flexibility.
right. And CNA is a great example. We've already graduated more than 60 CNAs just in the last year.
Wow, that's
Because
impressive.
there's such a huge need in our area. Our nursing homes, our hospitals, as you say, the hospice and home health. It's such an enormous need, and frankly, our population is aging. So we're going to have to see more and more trained healthcare workers.
Yeah, and I remember a time when you didn't have to be certified to be a CNA. So when I was growing up, my grandmother owned nursing facilities. And so as a teenager, I would work as a CNA in the nursing facility. And it was just something that you felt like you really had the ability to make an impact on someone's life, So these jobs, there's so much more to them. And to be able to get that training now and go straight in, go right to work,
Yes.
it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So you can start working. You don't have to be in debt, and you have all kinds of opportunities.
Yes, ma'am.
April, you need to meet April Daniels, and I don't know if there's too many people that don't
I was
already
going to say,
know
who
who you
doesn't know
are.
April Daniels? They do.
Thank you for coming and telling us about the training center.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
We are searching for guests for Season 5. Do you have an event coming up in Bastrop County? Want to share news or information about your business? We want to know. Visit theheartofbastrop.com or send us an email to theheartofbastrop@gmail.com and be our guest.
So I'm here with James and Angela Hollon with Set Apart Farms, and we're so excited you came on the show today. Tell everybody a little bit about what Set Apart Farms is.
Well, thanks for having us first off.
Absolutely.
And Set Apart Farms, it's a veteran family 501c3 nonprofit. It's an organization where we want to try to start healing the veterans along with their families, so as a unit, as one.
Yeah, we like to say it's a new approach to long-term healing with veterans and their families. Unfortunately, the and their families usually get left off. And we, came to Set Apart Farms really from what our own family experienced, kind of navigating some of these broken systems and learning, that there really was nothing like that for families to heal as one unit in a long-term type of approach.
Right, and it is, when these veterans go out and they, they're in Afghanistan and other places, do come back with a lot of PTSD and trauma. And I don't think people really think about the effect that has on, like you said, on their entire family, right?
Right, from the time he got out, spouses are really taught that is the veteran's trauma, the veteran's deployment, the veteran's, therapy program, and the family is really left out of it, which is really ineffective because everything that happens with your spouse, if you're in a marriage or family, bleeds over into your marriage and into your family. So there's really no keeping the two separate. You just can't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're all affected, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. And so tell us exactly what Set Apart Farms does.
So what we've been doing is helping these families, kind of like Angela said, navigate the VA system, help showing them the process that they have to go through in order to get the benefits that they need. We've kind of hit a point now where it's like, okay, now we need a physical location where we can bring these families in. Because what we're seeing with a lot of these homeless situations is there's not an organization that will take the entire family.
Right.
So when Set Apart Farms came to be, it was kind of forged in fire. What had happened was I had gotten a surgery from the VA that they had botched the surgery, and it left me without the use of my right arm, which was my dominant arm at the time, as well as any mobility in my head. So I was kind of only had half my body to utilize, and that made, that kind of thrust my wife into the full-time caregiver role. And we had a 2-year-old daughter at the time, so she was trying to take care of a 2-year-old girl and as well as me.
The facility where we were healing at, we were displaced for 7 months. He couldn't go back to work. The VA really didn't know what to do with us or where to put us. And towards the end of that 7 months, the facility could no longer keep us. So we were looking at homelessness. And that's why, one of the reasons we relocated back to James' home state of Texas is to pursue getting therapies and treatments and continue to looking for a place where we could go. And so Set Apart Farms has 3 really simple components. It's the healing on the farm environment versus kind of a community facility like where we were at. Everything was shared in this facility, the living room, the kitchen. And so that makes it really difficult for a family, especially with little ones and issues in their marriage, to be able to feel at home and safe enough to really work on therapy. So the therapeutic environments of the farm, all the education and resources that go with it, food is medicine, really having the whole family know what's going on with the veteran and bringing that into the whole family's lifestyle. And the second component is navigating the VA. Like James said, I was thrust into trying to figure out a very complex system. Congressional inquiries, being able to know that I have a patient advocate, a social worker. Nobody really takes the spouses through a tour and says, you can go here and you can go there. I had to learn that basically out of necessity to keep my family together. And so really, extending what we've learned in all aspects. And so the learning to navigate the VA is the second aspect. And the third aspect is private sector. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of choices in the pathway of healthcare and wellness with the VA. It's very clinical and very pharmaceutical based, which has its purpose, but there's also other things that we're missing inside that avenue of health and wellness, like EMDR and faith-based counseling. We happen to be a faith-based organization, and really bringing those types of concepts of mercy and love and forgiveness into the own healing that has to take place in your family. So those three components I think really separate us from a lot of programs that kind of are just an extension of what the VA is doing, but in a different location.
And it's about doing it with the whole family together. That's the big breakdown we had seen. A lot of these organizations, what they do is they'll take the veteran away from the family, away from the unit, and they'll put them through a program that's, maybe 45 days long, maybe 3 months, maybe longer than that. Give them all these tools, right? How to communicate properly, how to cope with certain things. And then they say, now take that home and make it work. Well, that goes against everything we do in the military when we train. We don't take our leaders away from the rest of everyone, give them the information and say, go make it work.
Right.
We train as a team, as a unit, as one. And that's what we need to start doing.
And that doesn't really set the veteran up for success, right? So you put him or her through this program, and they have all these great skills and they want to use them and they're ready to, and they go home and the spouse is like, that's wonderful. I don't have these skills. I've been on double duty. And then, you have this knocking of heads, which may completely make all the healing that the veteran had ineffective, because now they're frustrated, or they have these wonderful retreats, which are, a week. The family can go, the couples can go. Very wonderful at a certain time for the healing a relationship. But at the beginning, if you start there, then next week you have a hiccup in the family. You didn't really learn those long-term communication and coping skills.
Right.
And then you're also back to an ineffective situation where we had this great time and now we're not getting along. And so I don't know if I want to try this again.
A 3-day retreat or an 8-day retreat is great for some families, but it's not really getting to the root of the issue. It's not,
Absolutely.
9 days later, you're right back in the same situation that qualified you to go to that
It's taking
retreat.
you out of the real world and putting you in
Right.
this perfect
Right.
world, but then when it's over, you're back in the real world.
And we have a lot of escapism. I call them escapism type
Exactly.
therapies in the VA. There's psychedelics that are now being given to veterans. And again, the wife and the spouse and the children can't necessarily participate if you're taking shrooms issued by the VA or whatever psychedelics, ketamine. I mean, these are the therapies that
I'm
are
pretty
now.
sure you're not supposed to give those to your children.
Right, and so that's another type of, exclusive therapy that's just for the veteran. Of course, the veteran's feeling great. They're on all of these things that are meant to, rewire the brain to feel good, but that again is not teaching healing, trauma, coping mechanisms, and communication with your family unit, and that's long-term healing.
So our program long-term, it's more of a 6 to 9 month long program with the family. And there's some great resources out there for veterans, leadership organizations, other organizations that do leadership retreats and things like that. Imagine how much more successful those would be if they're getting a veteran that's already done 6 to 9 months of healing right alongside with their family.
Right.
So it's to amplify these other organizations that are already doing some great things, but it's doing it different. We can't keep doing the same thing and then expecting different results.
And it's to bridge the gap for what was not there for our family. We went through, a good couple years of really trying to navigate from Washington to Texas and everything in between for a place that had these types of, alternative types of ways to heal as a family unit outside of the typical protocol.
Right.
It didn't exist. And unfortunately, one of the other gaps that we had saw with that was if we called 10 organizations in a day and gave them our story, said, here's what happened, what do we do? 8 immediately denied us because I didn't have a drug or alcohol addiction. Because that's where a lot of the funding was. The funding came through grants, and since I didn't fall in that category, they were like, sorry, we got nothing for you.
Or we even had one that wanted me to write, that I was living in my vehicle with my daughter, but then that opens up another door to an agency, that has a lot of brokenness, let's be real, that I didn't want to deal with on top of the agency as I was already dealing with to try to,
Because you take a chance with that of them removing the daughter and then not helping the families off.
And unfortunately, because of that scenario, that right there is why the fastest growing demographic of homelessness in veterans right now is it's single female mothers. They're veterans, they're single, but because they don't want to go to the VA, because that's what the VA is saying. Well, we need you to put this in writing that you're living in a vehicle or that you're homeless with your children. And they're like, that veteran, she just lost everything. The last thing she has is her children. She's not right.
She's not going to give that up.
And that's unfortunate that they're not able to, say something and get the resources and help they need. We've actually partnered with a great organization that does just that very thing for those female veterans.
And that's another thing we're trying to do in the nonprofit network with veterans is really make this web of networks within obviously Texas, right? To where they're not going to be denied or have to go from Texas state over to clear across to the West Coast or the East Coast to get what should be plentiful within our own state and region for our veterans.
Absolutely. And so you guys, you're currently, from what I understand, you're currently looking for property to build the set apart farms on, right? So that you can help those veterans. What areas you're looking at Bastrop County?
Absolutely, Bastrop County for sure. So we when we first started this whole process, it was early 2020.
Right.
And so right when we had everything kind of lined up to go do speeches and things like that,
Life changed, as we all,
Right.
because we all knew it.
That little COVID.
Yes.
Right, so we kind of went stagnant for a while. Now, what that did was it kind of helped us in a way that we had to be more strategic in where we were going to put the first farm, but it allowed us to continue to network as far as the
We didn't
development
just stop and
goes.
say, well, no one's doing anything. We said, let's
Right.
do everything we can while we're waiting for some of these things to see what they're
Right,
going
and
to look like
maybe
after
made
this.
room
Right.
for you to have to do things that you normally wouldn't have had time for
Mhm.
if everything was running normal. People
Right.
changed a lot during COVID.
And it made it a lot more receptive too to the ideas that we were trying to
Absolutely.
put out there, as far as food is medicine, knowing what's going in your body, the importance of the family unit and keeping the family
Right.
together and making sure everyone is, connected, even if you have to split at the beginning of the day, making sure you're coming back at the end of the day.
Right,
Absolutely.
absolutely. So we're kind of at that point now where we're strategically looking for the placement of the first farm. Which the funny thing is we keep getting offered all these other spots outside of the state of Texas.
Right.
I'm dead set on the first one being in the state of Texas. I'm from Texas. So we're looking in the Bastrop area, even Kerrville, the hill country.
How many acres do you need?
Actually 25 acres, a
Not
minimum
really.
of 25 acres.
So somebody out there has 25 perfect acres to help our veterans, and hopefully they're watching this. So how did they get in touch with you?
We have a website. It's setapartfarms.org. That's setapartfarms.org. We have a nice button on there that says get involved, and there's so many different
All
ways
types
to
of
get
ways.
involved with Set Apart Farms, not just monetarily, but volunteering and
Education,
Education.
resources, agriculture. We're really trying to hit all of the things that are involved in health and wellness. So as much as we love these families, we don't want them to come back at the end. We want to make sure
Yeah.
that they're empowered and educated and plugged into the community, and then can go on to be the successful leaders and members of the community that we know our veteran families are really dying to be. We want to change that stigma of, you're a veteran family, and to you're a veteran family. We are so great. We're glad that you're in our community and you're welcomed here.
right.
Absolutely.
And that's a big thing. We talk about division in this country, and everybody's trying to look at the big picture. How do we reunite this country? And we're looking politically. We're looking big. The division starts in our homes. When we can reunite our homes, then we can reunite our communities. And if you have united communities, you'll have a united state, and you'll have United States. That's where we have
I
to
love
start.
that. You're exactly right. You're exactly. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show today. We really appreciate you. And guys, go to setapartfarms.org. Again, if somebody's got 25 acres out there in Bastrop County, these guys are looking to build Set Apart Farms. Thank you so much, James
Thank
Angela.
you
Thank
so
you.
much. God bless you. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Perfect. Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was great.
I'm here with Patty Pierce and Dan Pace with the American Legion Riders of Bastrop County, another group that is dedicated to helping our veterans. Talk to us a little bit. I know you have an event coming up.
We do. We have an event on October 1st. It's called Farrin's Run. It is something that started about 7 years ago by my friend here, Dan. He's going to talk a little bit about how Farrin's Run became.
It started actually I give a speech every year. It started with one picture. It was, we were having our ALR meeting, and they had the hall rented out for a memorial for a fallen soldier. Didn't think much of it, but then they asked to put a bouquet of flowers up on the bar in the canteen. 2 days later, I see these pictures of flowers on Facebook from a high school friend of mine. So I got a hold of her and got the story. Farrin Cross was his name, and he had committed suicide. So she told me the basic story, got introduced to Farrin's mother, got more of the story, and the seed sprout. And between my wife and I, we started, hey, what can we do? How can we make this better and give back? So it started and it has just ballooned, grown bigger every year, and you don't realize how bad it is until you start getting involved and start hearing the stories. And the one thing that we've done that's changed is now they work with a place called Restoration Ranch.
Yes.
And what they do is amazing. I don't ride horses anymore, but back in the day, the idea of it is just perfect. Patty's been, and she was telling me this on the way up here, that she didn't think it was going to be worth anything. And what, 2 hours?
2 hours. 2 hours with them.
Changed her mind. The calming effects of being around animals that don't judge, don't care that you have PTSD. All they show is love, and it truly is a beautiful thing.
It's one of those things, it's so sad when anybody commits suicide. It breaks my heart that someone gets to a point that they think that's the only option that they have. But it impacts everybody. It impacts their family, it impacts their friends, and how wonderful that you're doing something to try to prevent that from happening. And part of it can just be awareness. So how many people participate in Farrin's Run?
When we first started this 7 years ago,
It was about 40, close to 50 maybe. What was last year's?
last year we had 120 people show up.
Fantastic.
From bikers from other American Legions in the South Central area, Schulenburg, Seguin, New Braunfels, all the way Belton. And this year we're hoping to get even more. So we did have a setback 2 years ago because of that little thing called COVID. So unfortunately we did not have a ride during that year, but we're still continuing, and then all our proceeds go towards Restoration Ranch.
Well, the great news is early October's wonderful weather.
Yes.
And how do people get hold of you?
At the American Legion Post, 533, right here in Bastrop. You can reach us there. We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. So I think we got all the social media parts taken care of, except Twitter. But, you know, we're there, and we would love to see everyone out there. We have an amazing day planned with breakfast, a great motorcycle ride, some live auctions, some silent auctions, great lunch. It'd be fabulous to see everyone there.
So what time do the festivities start?
If you're riding, we're starting at 10 a.m. Registration's at 9:30, lunch at 12:30, and hopefully have the day done by 3:30, 4 o'clock.
It sounds like just a wonderful day. Family event?
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep. We have all kinds of, we have great fajitas, we have auctions, we have everything going on there. We have snow cone machine for the kids. So everything will be there.
Well, we have a wonderful audience, and if somebody wanted to donate something to your silent auction, is that still available?
Absolutely. You can reach us at the post or on Facebook, direct message us, and we'll be able to answer really quickly.
Well, we're blessed in Bastrop that we do recognize the service of our veterans, and we learned today about the impact to not only the veteran but their families. And it's wonderful that you guys are taking these steps to take care of our veterans. We certainly appreciate your service.
Well, thank you.
It's our
We
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Good
Well, thank you.
What an amazing show, Connie. That was great.
You know, I have a son that served, and I have such a heart for the veterans, but it is
Absolutely.
nothing compared to what these people are doing to try to help our veterans.
Absolutely. It's a big deal, right? So we want to take care of the people who take care of us. Guys, this was a great show. We got to talk to April. And how about that grant, $4.8 million?
I can't wait to see you welding. I don't know. Should we trust
do wanna
TJ with the
weld.
welder?
I think I'll be good at it, right? You got to try something different, guys, right? Step out of your norm a little bit. But you do not want to miss another episode of the Heart of Bastrop Talk Show. Gosh, I had a mouthful. So you want to go to theheartofbastrop.com. Don't forget to put the in front of it. And you can look at past episodes. You can watch future episodes. You can find show material. And then if you're a YouTuber, you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel.